Hey, my YouTubies, what you're looking at is an actual map of Tartaria or Tartary. I was able to locate this and purchase it online for not a bad price. The person who did this is H. Mole, and I'm doing research. The reason I'm showing you this is I want to give you an update of what I'm doing. I am doing some very, very hardcore research and work on putting everything together. All of the hidden human story back to the Cronides. And I'm going to be looking at what has been erased as well. But it takes time. And what I'm doing is a 2 to 3 year project, which I've already started. Now I'm going to put on a video at the end of this, which is a video about ghost hunting. And I have another channel called Tales from the Mysterious Side that I was putting some different things on, like some of the ghost hunts. And now I'm into thrifting and antique shops because, quite honestly, all of this comes together. It all comes together. And these objects that couldn't be hidden, that are in people's antique stores or thrift shops or basements or attics, help to put this together, as well as solid scientific research. And I'm not going to give too much away, but I'm going to tell you when I get done, it's going to be mind-blowing. And it is going to take me a while, but I am pulling things together now, and I'm getting the physical evidence, and this is one part of it. So, for my journey, I am starting to see how I've been on this path since childhood, and everything is just coming together. It's not just, here's some myths, and it was the Cronides. And we're talking way beyond that. We're talking into the spiritual world. We're talking about massive destruction through warfare, absolute calculated destruction of history to control the human race as a slave race. And it isn't by aliens, although that might be the final part of the piece, and I don't believe they're aliens. I've got some thoughts on that as well. But we can conjecture all day, but now I'm going to be getting the hard evidence. And I just wanted to say, stick with me. This is a 2 to 3 year project, and I'm working hard on this. Now, my dilemma is there's a lot of censorship going on, so I have to start putting things on different platforms. There's so much instability going on right now. A lot of things going on in America. And, I have to do this as I can. I still have to go out and do life. But every day I'm grateful to be able to put something into this so that in 2 to 3 years I'm going to have something so good that there just can't be any denial of how much history has been hidden, how much you've been lied to, how hard they've worked to destroy evidence, how they periodically kill the human race off so that they can do their little stupid resets and make you a slave population over and over again. And it's the same bloodlines. It's the same bloodlines. And I think the way that we're going to undo these people is through spirituality and putting this together and understanding that this is the time that we all have come in here to take care of this problem and get rid of it once and for all. So stick with me. I've got a video at the end talking about how all things come together. I'll give you a little hint. There's such a fascination with demons, and I've talked about Nephilim. Nephilim are demons, or just a really bad person. But the Nephilim were the combination of a god or a fallen angel and a human woman. And they were said to be very tall and cannibals and hated the average human. But what do we have all around the world? We have the remains of giants. It is under our feet. And they were angry because they were exterminated and this whole world was reset. And I do think there's something to this Tartaria or Tartaria. Most definitely. And I think it's just another major piece of the puzzle. What was before Tartaria? This is just a map from a couple hundred years ago. What about 15,000 years ago? What about 30,000 years ago? How long has this been going on? And that is what I'm going to be putting together with pieces of solid physical evidence such as this. So stick with me, and I hope you enjoy the video that I've put on a different channel. I'm really contemplating on how I'm going to present things here down the road. If it's worth having multiple channels or maybe a couple backup channels on different platforms and sell some documentaries and books. But what I've got planned is just going to be amazing. It's going to be beyond YouTube or beyond a book or a documentary. So enjoy the video after this map. Thank you. Why do we look for ghosts? Why are people absolutely fascinated with the paranormal? Before I answer that, I just want to give a little background on this footage. I'm in an antique shop, and I've always been attracted to antiques and old things and mysteries, as are a lot of people. Most of the stuff we really can't use for how it was meant to be used anymore. Some of it we can. Some of it we just use as display items that make us happy. Most of these antiques are from the 19th and early 20th century. They really made things to last back then. But these are items that people owned. They loved, they used to survive and live their days out. They liked the beauty of color in their artifacts. Perhaps we're attracted to these things because of the energy some of it has. Perhaps we're attracted to these things because maybe we used to use them if you believe in reincarnation. But for me, I like to learn. I like to understand these things. And yes, there's an energy to these old antiques. So why do we like to hunt or look for ghosts? Why are people just absolutely fascinated with the paranormal? Well, I think it just has to do with we all want to know if there's life after death, and we want to know that our loved ones are okay. That's part of it. Another part of it is just the curiosity of it, trying to prove it out to oneself. I have done some of my own research on ghosts and the paranormal because I've run into it when I'm out in the field researching for my other work on hidden human story, investigating ancient mythology and Native American mounds and other different pieces of history. I usually stumble into it. I'm not looking for it. At some point, I would like to study this field more, but I think combining a knowledge of items and artifacts and things that meant something to people will help someday when I'm studying these spiritual encounters. But I want to be respectful. I had a video out where I was in a cemetery looking at the history of the cemetery. That cemetery was supposed to be very hot for paranormal activity, and I did catch some orbs on my film. I was trying to be respectful when I made the video, and I talked more about the history because I was very fascinated with the age of the cemetery. I did put it out on YouTube, and to my surprise, someone made a comment about one of the headstones that I thought was very beautiful, that belonged to their father or family member. I was so glad that I was respectful in that video. So when we're doing these things, we want to have permission and be respectful as to what we're doing and not pester the dead, because that's their time to rest. Now, there are some spirits that do have things that are unfinished and they may need some help. Or some may just be saying hi. In my case, I'm starting to see that some of these encounters actually help me in my research into mythology and Native American mounds and other ancient mysteries. And I'm going to tell you why. There is a lot of talk about giants around the world, and a lot of times they're associated with mounds, not necessarily Native American, but all over the world. If you do some research, as I have done, you will find that the so-called demons or bad spirits usually go hand in hand with stories of giants, and that they're angry because they were wiped out. Now, I'm not promoting for anybody to go out and disrespect any mounds, any graves, or trying to do ceremonies. That is just ignorant. And you shouldn't be doing that. You need to be respectful. But it does come into my research as I go out and I'm trying to put the pieces of the puzzle of the past together. So on this channel, I'm going to be doing different things. I'm going to be looking at thrifting and antiques. And if I do happen to stumble upon something paranormal, I'm going to put that here. Down the road, I'm not sure if I'll go out and try and do any active investigations. I've been on some group investigations, but I want to be respectful. And quite honestly, a lot of the places that are open for group studies have entities or spirits that I really don't want to be around. They're too negative, and I don't want them following me home. I had a chance encounter with something in an old barn, and it did follow me home. And I had to do a few things because that spirit is not at rest. And I had to take care of a few things, and I'm still working on that. I have too much going on that I just can't have all kind of things following me home and causing problems in my safe and sacred environment. And that is something you should think about if you are going to go out and start doing these things. Now, if I do encounter something along the way and it's meant for me to study it a little further, I will, but I will not be disrespectful. I will not try and pester anything. It's their rest time. But I do have that curiosity as well. And if it's meant to be, and I'm meant to encounter something and do a discussion on it, I will. But I do think this channel can be unique in that there's a lot a very interesting history of old objects or things you find in thrift stores. And some of them, quite honestly, do give you that creepy vibe, especially some of the artwork from the 19th century. It almost looks like there's a spirit to it. It isn't just cheaply made prints. There's something captured, especially on those old paintings with portraits of people or even old photographs. So there's something unique about that. But for now, I want to do different things on this channel, and I hope you enjoy it. And we want to be respectful when we do go out and encounter paranormal situation, so that we don't pester those that are in rest time or drum up problems or bring something home with us that we really don't want. But for me, I'm doing lots of research on a different channel, and I've written books, and my research continues, and I feel that all of this comes together eventually. So I hope you enjoy what I'm doing here. I'm going to be doing some different things on this channel. Like I said, some thrifting, looking at antiques. If I come up with some strange stories or hauntings, I'll be putting some videos together on that. But for now, I'm kind of enjoying learning about the objects. And you never know when that will come in handy. Thank you.